Frogger is a classic. Everybody knows about that determined frog that just wants to cross the road. But not many people know about the 3D titles. Let's take a look at this game box.
Enter the magical world of Frogger and explore lush 3D environments, encounter mystical and terrifying creatures, solve tricky puzzles, and help your favorite frog in his greatest quest ever. Wow, these are some bold statements. I mean, lush? More like flush, as in flushes came down the garbage. And tricky puzzles, they're not too hard. And whoa. Favorite frog? I mean, I don't know, that one frog from those kids' books. I mean, yeah, that one, that's a type frog. Frogger returns with an all-new look, lots of cool moves, magic, and skills. Encounter over 70 curious critters, evil insects, goblins, and vampires, and other villainous varmints. Amazing worlds to explore, muck through murky marshes, race through raging rivers, and discover dangerous dragon lairs. Combines exciting freeform exploration and platform action. It's a whole new way to play Frogger. Well, it might be a whole new way to play Frogger, alright, but it definitely isn't the best way. I mean, all of this is exaggeration. All of the worlds look similar, the exploration with the tokens are at best, and the discovering aspect isn't big.
Let's take a deeper look at Frogger the Great Quest for PS2.
So we start off a new game with a cutscene. This introduces Frogger and Frogger's main goal for the game. I'll save you the trouble of watching the whole thing because it's really bad, but it's almost so bad it's funny. Frogger overhears some kids talking about a frog getting kissed by a princess and turning him into a prince. That gives Frogger an instant seizure somehow. Then a couple of baddies come by and totally scare off the kids. The bad guys here are just some pervs. I mean, one says, "Come to daddy," in the stupidest voice. Honestly, I wish I could talk about how cheesy and bad the voice acting is in this game, but I don't want to hate too much on the best part of the game. Yeah, this game is garbage if you couldn't tell by the first 10 seconds in. Frogger calls a fairy to grant him 3 wishes because he wants to get a kiss from a princess and become a nice, sexy man. She gives him powers to see magical things, his backpack now has unlimited space, and he can't die forever. Wow, this is the most ridiculous way to set up a character. I mean, come on. I understand the whole magical quest, but seriously, a fairy makes him invincible? It's just pathetic. The game finally starts, and the first thing I do is something horrible. His jump mechanics, I hate it. His jump is most comparable to a spring. It seems to sometimes have a weird delay, and if I press the jump button again, Frogger's croak, bubble, I don't really know frogs, okay? But he croaks and opens up his throat, which allows him to hover like Ratchet and Clank, but way more ridiculous. I understand the spring factors because he's a frog, I get it, but Frogger feels way too light, so you can jump 5 times and travel about 50 to 70 meters quickly. If Frogger was a little heavier, I think this would have worked great, but in the meantime, this will take some getting used to. Man, these jumps are annoying. It's one of those bad Super Mario 64 issues where the camera is not your friend. You can't seem to control the camera, but you can press the L trigger to set the camera back behind Frogger. This is the best part about this game, it truly helps a lot. There are also tokens throughout the levels, quite a bit actually. I try to collect them if I can, but I don't really know what's the exact use. It won't seem to tell me. I find myself jumping a lot too, like most of us do in these games, but Frogger knows, man. I mean, I finished the first level in the 5-second cutscene. He's jumping high all over the place. I guess frog emphasis is really important to the makers. And by the way, I finished the first level very quickly. It took probably 10 minutes, and I stopped to write this introduction down, so you can speedrun this game, I assume, fast. Is it weird that I might want to do that? Ah, here we go, a shop to spend our tokens. Seems to me that we have enough money to buy something labeled Frogger. Is this the classic game? Ha, nope. Just bought a summary about Frogger himself. Boring. It does tell us about an attack he can do called Spit. Yeah, so original. He can spit some weird glob at his enemies from a decent range. Let's take a moment to listen to his really odd music though. super weird, and at random cues they add sound effects from old gag cartoons, and at random times I hear dogs barking. It's funky alright, but it has a fantasy tone to it, so I don't mind it at all.
Remember, brother.
The second level in, and guess who's back?
Oh yeah! Come to daddy!
Oh yeah, come to daddy. Man, get out of my game. Freaking creep. I'm done with your weird lines, dude. This creepy guy comes up to us and attacks. I shoot my globs, but the accuracy is garbage. Luckily, when Frogger's close to enemies, he automatically goes to hand-to-hand combat, and instead of the spit. I killed the bee guy and his dying breath is, oh, come on. What is this game, honestly? Is this why I have no life? I'm sitting alone in my room playing a game about a frog fighting foreign bees. Please subscribe, I'm begging. We go through the second level in what seems like a small village. Frogger's voice though is kind of growing on me. I've always wanted to be a voice actor for a young adventurer. I'm Frogger, and I'm looking for a princess. You can be the judge. We continue on and collect more tokens. We meet this bear named Bruiser, and he says he will let us use his cable car to slick willies and seize the princess. But he needs something first before we go. We want to get to the princess, so we do what he says, and we go find a horde of bees waiting to be killed. But the frames just gave up on me right when I started fighting all these bees. I mean, why is this game frame dropping? It doesn't even make sense. This made me die. I respawn close by, and I go back to the fight to find more bees, and they're all gone. But then a minute later, 4 of them appear out of nowhere and attack me. I almost die again, but I finally get to pick up the honey. We get to go on the cable car, and the next level starts. This level is Slick Willie's boat. I hop on the boat, and I just see 3 cats playing Go Fish. This little scene is really cute and funny. I like it for some reason. It has a charm to it. You know, this game is reminding me a lot of Spyro and Banjo-Kazooie. It gives me that vibe, but not as fun as Banjo-Kazooie. I take out the cats, and this would be a good time to explain the fighting aspect. It sucks. Like really bad, yeah. It's just unfair how much the enemies can hurt you and attacks don't feel like it's responsive. I had to manually turn on the rumble feature in the settings before I started the game, and it doesn't feel like I'm beating up baddies, it feels like I'm just getting hit a ton. Each of Frogger's moves has a delay, but the spit hardly delays anything, except oh wait, the spit move sucks because all fights are super up close, and when I'm up close, it does hand to hand, so they really didn't think the fighting mechanics through too well. I go through the ship and I head onto an area. It reminds me of the one quest to get to the Emperor in Skyrim. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, you Elder Scrolls fans. I'm trying to use the spin move more, but it just feels like Fox's lasers from Smash Bros. You know, no knockback. I can't tell if they're really getting hurt. I mean, they sound like it, but it's hard to tell sometimes. Often I kill enemies and after they die, I still get hurt somehow from their remains. And the fighting is just unfair. I mean, I'm getting quite annoyed with it. Another mechanic I just found was a side scroll. This is kind of a nod to the original Frogger, I assume, because it has a similar animation. I just want to mention that I've been on this boat for a hot minute. I just seem to have trouble finding keys and doing the freaking objective. Jeez, you know how long it took me to realize you can press the right control stick to go into a first person mode to spit out this bell to alert Slick Willie and unlock his door? A long time. Too long. I finally get to see Slick Willie, and here, just listen to this combo.
My princess, you say?
Oh, please tell me where the princess is.
The river prince?
Can I meet the prince?
You want to see the
Jeez, mate, how many times do I have to ask? Can I see the princess?
river prince? Look, you're standing on her, silly. She's my ship. Get it?
Oh, for real, dog?
Can you help me find
Slick
the
Willie
princess?
then gets kinda scary and says how I'm not gonna leave and how he likes the taste of frog. This opened my eyes because it felt like an actual villain. He started slowly walking towards me to attack and it's ruined. Every time you hit him he says, "Oh, stop that." And when you defeat him, he goes, "Oh boy, you done whooped me good." Oh my gosh, I can't.
Wow, you done whooped me good, boy.
Oh man, way to ruin a good villain. He then chills and tells us where to go on.
Where do I go anyway?
So, Frogger's quest isn't anything crazy. It's just a weird 3D platformer that probably should have never existed. let me wrap up most of this game for you and we'll be back with an overview of some more stuff. With Frogger 3D, I don't recommend it per se. It has small ups and it has more downs. But the characters are goofy and the graphics, even though they look like a big downgrade, they are not bad to the eye. It truly does feel like a really good N64 game more than a PS2 game. More is expected. Of course I have major flaws with this game. The fighting is absolutely unacceptable, the jumping is never something I can get used to, ledge grabbing isn't consistent at all, the puzzles aren't so puzzles, the more puzzling things are obvious items and things to hit but are still difficult because things randomly placed. Those are just my main complaints about the design overall. It's fine to talk about the good things, like music is fitting for the game, graphics are again Banjo-Kazooie vibes, and some characters are actually entertaining. But that's really it. I like Slick Willy a lot. He was actually a really cool character. He would have been much better if it weren't for some lines of his were done so poorly. I do want to point out in this game, Frogger can swim, and there are swimming portions throughout the levels. And of course, it's nothing perfect, but Frogger the Great Quest did some swimming mechanics pretty good. It's strange to say it out loud, but if they made more water activities in this game, I would actually like it. It was pretty good. It reminded me of a Ratchet & Clank style swimming. Wait! You see this big scary monster guy? Yeah, looks pretty cool actually. Well, he's stolen. Yup, in the Elder Scrolls Arena there is a monster that looks exactly like him. I knew he reminded me of something and this is it. I think my favorite level from this game is Dr. Starkenstein's castle. The level itself is a complete joke for a level. The platforming is just idiotic, but the characters, oh man, it's something. My favorite's the Doctor. He says things like, "Curiosity killed the froggy," and he also says, "This is where I laugh madly now." The level right after this is in the catacombs. This level has a guy named Count Blah, a weird vampire that only drinks fruit juice. Oh my gosh, meme's a little too late, buddy. Wait, did he create the meme? Oh man, he did create it. I continue through the levels and boring levels after levels, and finally I make it to the last level. A large tower to find the princess. The tower level itself is one of the worst levels in the history of gaming, but I finally made it to the top of the tower. Frogger is up against 3 baddies, but hey, a fairy from earlier helps us out by summoning a monster to make the 2 enemy bodyguards jump off the cliff. I guess that's one way to do it. The final boss battle starts and we face off in an epic way. Not really. This boss sucks. He seems really unfair since his attacks always seem to hit. I just got lucky 3 tries in and he got stuck, so I killed him easy. Finally! You lose, hothead! Wait, what is he doing? Wait, no! No! You can become better! Wait! What?! Well, I guess we won't hear from him again. Hey, look, the princess! And they're gonna kiss. Ugh. I think that princess liked animals a bit too much. Wait, finally we get to see Frogger as a human. And he's boring. Just some basic old kid. Oh well. I expected like Shaq or something, honestly. Frogger gets his wishes, the land returns to peace, and they all live happily ever after. The end. Wow, what a boring game. This might actually be one of the worst 3D platforming games alive, and it doesn't even stop there. There is more Frogger games similar to this out there. Weird and super stupid. Stick around the channel by hitting that bell because soon we will be taking a look at the Game Boy Advance port of this game. Oh boy, be prepared.
Well, at least we can cross one thing off the bucket list today.